Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new episode of Project LS400. In the last episode you saw me remove the entire front fascia, the headlights and everything behind here because I wanted to have a look at the headlight washer system. I had a non-working headlight washer. I found out what was wrong and I also found out that the new part that I needed, a check valve, is still available at Amayama. So with help from my friend Frank, aka Francisco from Spain, I was able to order the parts over there, but unfortunately the war in the Middle East broke loose and that resulted in Amayama suspending deliveries of ordered parts. So it took a couple of weeks and I was worried that I would never receive the parts, but some time ago the parts came in and now I want to resume working on the LS again. This will be more of a short video. I don't have anything large planned in this video. So I want to get started. Before we start, two things. One, I have included chapters in the video so you can skip ahead to the section that you want. And two, roll intro. So here we have the parts. Some came from the car, namely the indicators and side markers lights. I cleaned them and I also gave them a spritz over with 2K clear coat so they look brand new again. They became a little bit dull and I could have polished them. Normally when you polish them and you have raised lettering on these lenses, you will polish them out, and sometimes it's important for the approval or yearly check. The lettering luckily on these Lexus lenses is on the inside, so I could have polished them, but it was faster to do with a clear coat. So now I have brand new looking indicator lenses and side marker lenses. So here is the broken check valve from the headlight washer. This is the other good one, and luckily new ones are still available, so here it is. So the first thing I want to do is put this on and see if everything works fine. These are parts that came from the car. Frank also included a set of bearings seal and some smaller bearings. That's a rebuild kit for the power steering pump, so thank you Frank for that. And what I have also ordered are valve cover seals. I had a valve covers off 2-3 years ago and I couldn't get hold of new ones that suited the engine of the Lexus. Searched high and low, but I just had to order them from Amayama. This is not something I'm going to do in this episode. This is for next winter, but I wanted to have these seals in store. And I also have these seals that sit behind the camshaft pulley because they are known to leak. I mean, everything is 32 years old, and when cars reach this age, even Lexuses, things start to leak. So I'm going to reseal the engine. And I also ordered some new semicircular plugs that sit in the cylinder heads. Anyway, let's start off with installing this and see if the system now works as it should. So the Lexus has been under covers for 2 months again now, so it's about time we do something. Now let's see if the gas struts still work. Almost. So I have my temporary hood strut over here. So the washer fluid tank is back on the car. The EVAP canister gave everything a thorough clean, not only the components themselves, but everything behind there. And before I install the headlight and the bumper back on the car, I want to give this a thorough once over. And also before I install everything, I want to have a look at the air suspension system on there while I have the bumper off. Never had access to it. I want to give it a closer look and give some in-depth information on that system. So first I'm going to install the check valves on here, put a little bucket behind there so we can test it. Unpacking original parts always feels like unpacking birthday and Christmas presents. So let me get it out. And I think that'll also work. Okay, I'm gonna hop in the car. So now I have the lights on. Sounds to me as if they're working. Oh no, this one doesn't. Only that one does. Maybe it's smart to change them left and right. So here is the new one. Okay, let's give it another whirl. So there is a little hole in the back of these check valves, and that's to release pressure from the membrane so it can compress. And to me it looks like it's coming from the back, but I couldn't see while I'm in the car. So that's why I'm recording this and look at the footage now. So I think I solved it. There was indeed a little crack in that membrane too. So I hope I can fix it. I put a little bit of RTV on the back here. So hopefully that fixes it. Push it down and give it one more test. So you saw it and you just told me that it's working fine. So I'll leave this be now. So that's working fine. Happy with the results. It's nice to have working headlight washers. So I'm gonna throw all of this away and I'm gonna pull the car a little bit forward because I want to have a look in that corner over there, and I have something to tell about the headlight washer system. That's something that I discovered when I was installing this back onto the car. So this is the washer fluid tank. It sits in front of the left front wheel. Over here on the side is the pump motor for the windscreen washers, and the front pump is for the headlight washer. It has a higher capacity, builds up more pressure, and when you ever need to troubleshoot it, this little part is important. This is a relay box, and that checks if the headlights are actually on, so either low beams or high beams. And when you push the button on the center console, this just times the time that the pump is running, because it requires a lot of fluid, and if you kept it down for 10 seconds it would drain half of the tank. So you do a short burst you just saw in the previous scene were timed by this relay box over here. So that's one of the things you can check if this isn't working. Especially it's important that this gets the signal that the headlights are on. So there's that. Okie dokie folks, I'm done cleaning the front end. I used my little steamer. I'm very happy with this device. It's incredible how good this thing is at cleaning very hard dirt spots and also greasy spots. Before I applied a little bit of degreaser and I agitated it with a brush. Went over with a steamer cloth and then used my air gun to blow everything dry. As you can see, the car is crooked, and I have the right front fender liner out and the front wheel off because I am ready to install the bumper, but the air suspension compressor and incandescent dryer lives over here. I never had a good look at that, so I want to see if I can take it out, put it on the bench and look at how it's constructed. I never had a chance to get a good look at it. And also there is one thing that requires my attention, so I'll see if I can get it off. But before, I want to show you how it sits in the car. So this here is the front right corner of the car, and I noticed there is this little metal bracket still on the car, and I think that held the evaporator from the former LPG installation. Now, this installation had to be completely removed to register this car as a petrol car, so with lower road taxes. And when we look around the corner, we can see the air suspension system. The compressor lives over here. There is a large main motor. There is a little piston section over here, so there's a crank in there, a piston. The piston section is over here. This is the air dryer. The main air manifold with the solenoid valves lives over here, and there are 3 lines exiting going into the car, and those are all from those flexible, what are, I wouldn't say rubber lines, but there is this flexible material. And on the front here, this section over here is the blow-off valve, so this acts as a noise damper. Alrighty folks, this is Arnold the editor. I forgot to mention one really important point here, and I didn't film this, but the thing is, if you are ever going to remove the air suspension compressor, make sure that you support the car on the jack points, because if you remove those air lines from the main air manifold, the air suspension will collapse. I assumed when I filmed this that the car would hold its position, but I noticed when I removed the first airline the car started to collapse. So I put it on a couple of jacks and jack stands. When I took the air compressor, the air suspension compressor off, this is really important. If you don't do this, the car will collapse, probably hurting yourself, damaging the car, and most importantly you can damage the airbags because they fold way beyond the deepest point and you can tear them and they will break, and they are so hard to come by if the air suspension ever starts to leak. At this point, with these cars over 30 years old, it's probably a technical and financial total loss. So I want to put this in the video. And here it is, the complete air suspension compressor unit. So here are the main valves, a little bit better visible. And to take these lines off you have to use a little trick because there are plastic clips in here. So the line goes in here and this sits in here. So there is a double lock on there. First thing that you need to do is pull this white tab out. It's a small white tab. And then you push this spring together and lift it up, and once this is lifted up you can pull the entire airline out. And please note the system remains under pressure, so I have the car supported by jack stands and jacks right now, otherwise the suspension would collapse. That's never a good thing because you can fold the bellows over a point where they stretch and crack. And also be careful with these plastic clips. I mean, they are now over 30 years old, they are brittle and you absolutely need them. If they ever fall out you could put a tie rip or anything in there. So I don't think this requires much maintenance. The compressor is here. Let me turn it around and show you from the top side. So over here you can see the piston and cylinder where the air is compressed. There's a big chunky motor on here. It's by far the largest and most powerful electric motor on the LS. And this section here is the incandescent dryer. But I just want to clean this. And if we take a more close-up look, this line over here, you can see it's very rusty. There is a braided line over here. And well, this has to keep up. This is where it's crimped and it holds the air line into this connector. So I'm gonna clean this a little bit and put some rust converter on there, so hopefully it won't rust any further. And I'm just gonna disassemble it partially, clean it and then put it back into the car. Because the car needs to be on its wheels when I leave here, so we can roll it back and forth. Anywho, I'm gonna switch the camera off, give this a clean and show you the end result. So wipe the last bits off. I gave it a spritz with, what is it, cockpit spray or a bumper cleaner, but it kind of nourishes the plastic bits and I didn't want to take anything apart. I probably can take this little inspection cover off, not sure what it's for, but there are a lot of rubbers and rubber lines that are perfectly fine right now, although they are old. But if I would take them apart, they would, I think they would start to crumble, and then I have another problem. Now it's a perfectly fine working unit, so just clean it. I was curious to see how this looks, how it works. A nice thing is that the entire motor assembly is suspended in rubbers, and I was a little bit worried when I took that apart, I think it would start to deteriorate. When this pump runs, you can hear it in the car. Every now and then you can hear it run, especially when the car is stationary and the engine is idling. Otherwise you don't hear it. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my brush and clean out the inside of the fender liner, give it a spritz with hollow section wax to prevent it from rusting, especially in the corner where this air compressor unit lives, and then everything is good to go back on the car. So here we have the bumper corner. This is the left hand side, and I replaced those pins here. There are metal pins in here, total 3 per side, 1, 2, 3, but the upper 2 were broken off on both sides, so I installed an M6 bolt with a new backing plate which I put in with pop rivets. Done the same on the other side. Here you can see there they are, and I also have a new backing plate over there with threaded inserts. I recorded the last scene about the end of March and currently it's midst of May, so we're a few weeks ahead in time, and I really wanted to get working on the Lexus again. I don't want to do too much talking, I want to get work done, so I'll get the camera up close and just put some music under here, and I'll show you the important details for the installation of the bumper. Another thing that I want to mention, I'm not sure if I already did, Since I have the lower engine cover up, that air guiding plate, I also did an oil change and changed out the oil filter. I think most parts that should be on the car are on the car. So let's look at the shot lights. And as always, they are Lexus perfect. There are so many flaws in the paint and in the bodywork. But one of the first things that I'm going to do tomorrow, drive the car out, give it a good wash, maybe wax it a little bit. Of course, I have to put a license plate on, but I don't think I will be driving the car much this year, especially because of the high fuel prices. Another thing that I wanted to show you, what I have right here, is the little side cover that sits behind the wheel, and this goes on the right hand side. One of the things that happens often is that these little clips break off. Now I glued this back together, and when I put it on, I could hear my epoxy glue snap. So this brace that's in here came off. But recently I got a question from someone on Facebook in some LS400 group. He had the same issue where these clips were broken off. But as you can see, there is a little chrome strip in here that's held in place by a little tabs. Oh, let me put it up right. These little tabs on the back side. When you bend them out, you can pull them out. And I just used regular clips and I screw them in from the back. There's a tiny little metal screw. Anyway, I'm gonna re-glue this bit with a better glue, and then everything is back on the car. But this episode took so long to make and to film that I wanna call it quits right here. One thing I wanted to show you, and that's something for the next episode, and shove this big sucker back, because every time when I park the car and I don't drive it for months, it leaks. There's a fresh new spot right here where the car has been parked for the last 3 weeks. I did push it back and forth a couple of times, and when I drive the car I don't have any leaks. I'm not sure why that is, and I already looked under the car a couple of times last winter, and it seems to be coming from the bracket, the transmission bracket, but the transmission doesn't leak. I don't see any leaks coming from the sump or the rear seal where the drive shaft comes out. So this is something that I want to look into in the next episode. And of course, come back here, let me pull the car back in screen so we have a decent shot. I also need to fit the chrome strip on top of the windscreen, but it requires a little bit of paint. But that's for the next episode. I want to park this episode right here. I want to thank you for watching, thank you for following along. I hope this was in some way or form informative for you and that you learned something. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comment section. For now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye. I just realized that I didn't test what started this entire ordeal, namely the headlight washers. So let's go out and give it a final test. Hopefully it works.